I love my life.
Very personal, Billy.
Look, I might not have as much experience as you because I'm not super old like you, but I've seen all of the Fast and the Furious movies, lady. It's all about family. Family! Hell yeah!
Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. They dropped a new Shazam Fury of the Gods trailer, so we'll break it down. There's a bunch of new footage. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. The big news is that James Gunn will be announcing his new DC slate, like DC Phase 1 of his rebooted DC movies in the next 2 weeks. We might even find out about that next week because he sounds like he is ready to pull the trigger because there have been all kinds of rumors about who they're going to recast as the new Superman. Jacob Elordi was someone that was thrown around, but then James Gunn came on and was like, no, absolutely not. We haven't cast anyone. This is bullcrap. So it just sounds like he's very eager to lay a lot of rumors to rest, which I think we're all excited about. Like, just announce what's going on so we know. Of course, it has to be said that Shazam Fury of the Gods is part of the old DCEU, like it's meant to be connected to the DCEU. So there's lots of questions about what's going to happen to all the Shazam characters after the events of this movie. Will they all be recast or will they continue forward into the new DC universe? Zachary Levi seems very confident that he's going to come back just based on recent events, which I'll talk about later in the video. And related to all the Shazam universe stuff, we've been talking about Black Adam the last couple of weeks because of the big announcements about James Gunn recasting pretty much everybody and them getting rid of The Rock. With all the drama of him bringing Superman back and trying to set up his own little corner of the DC universe and like recenter all the DC movies around himself as Black Adam. Unsuccessfully now. Turns out there was also supposed to be a big Black Adam cameo scene in Shazam 2. Everybody wondering when we're going to see Shazam versus Black Adam. Turns out they were actually planning on doing it relatively soon, but The Rock actually turned them down and didn't want to be in the movie because it sounds a little bit like an ego thing, like he wanted all this stuff to be centered around the Black Adam character and be more about Superman versus Black Adam, which is still a really cool idea. But no matter how successful the movie had been, they were never going to completely recenter the entire DC universe around the Black Adam character. But just starting with the brand new trailer footage, you see more scenes of the Shazam characters fighting the daughters of the Greek Titan Atlas, played by Helen Mirren, Lui and Rachel Zeigler. They're based a little bit on the Greek concept of the Pleiades, this constellation named after the real-life 7 daughters of the Greek god Atlas, but they're just 3 that they're doing in the movie. The whole idea, as they say in the trailer footage, like Helen Mirren's character says, that they're trying to take back the powers that the Shazam characters stole from them, or at least that they feel like they stole from their father. Because the Shazam name is actually an acronym based on the Greek mythology, the Greek gods, like we're talking about Wonder Woman's gods, the pantheon that she comes from. One of the characters that they draw their power from is the Greek Titan Atlas. It sounds like one of the keys to that power is the broken staff of the wizard Shazam that they broke during the first movie. Because you see them take it from the museum and reform it and use the power again. There's new footage of them fighting the dragon at the Phillies baseball stadium. Remember, they live in the Philadelphia area, so most of their time on Earth in the regular world during the movie is spent in the Philly area when they're not on the Rock of Eternity, which you see a lot during the trailer, or at this place here where it seems like the daughters of the Greek Titan Atlas live, maybe related to Mount Olympus because we're talking about the Greek mythology. One of the planned cameos for the movie was Wonder Woman. There were a bunch of Wonder Woman cameos in the upcoming films this year that reportedly they actually deleted because of all the recastings. I don't know if they've gotten rid of Wonder Woman in this movie because she sounds like she was a bit of a throwaway joke, the way that they used her in the movie, so they might still let her be in it. I think a lot of the teasers in the post-credit scenes and things that they got rid of in movies like the Flash movie, for instance, the big Superman cameo during that, were mostly because they were meant to set up future movies that they never intend on paying off now because of all the recastings and the rebooting. And I don't think Wonder Woman's scene during Shazam Fury of the Gods was meant to do that, so they might still let her scene be in the movie. But you see all the other DCEU footage here they show in the trailer when he's talking to his therapist, his child therapist, because Billy is still technically a child in the eyes of the law. And he's just talking to them about how a couple years on since the events of the first movie, he still feels like kind of a fraud compared to the other Justice League characters. And reportedly, while he's talking to his therapist, he talks about this fantasy that he has about going on a date with Wonder Woman, and they pay that off at some point in a funny way during the movie. If you look around the doctor's office here too, there's a ton of DC Easter eggs. Probably the biggest WTF is the Green Lantern Easter egg in the background, but like there are a bunch of Wonder Woman plushies. There's an S for Starro in the background here, referencing the events of the Suicide Squad movie. There's Titano, the super ape from the Superman comics that represents the letter T. He was a chimp named Toto that was sent to space during a test flight and was bombarded with cosmic rays that gave him superpowers that Superman fought way back in the classic comics. There's several Wonder Woman plushies, there's Batman plushies, there's a Batman action figure, there's a Flash action figure. But like I said, there's a Green Lantern action figure, meaning that Green Lantern already exists in this continuity, and this is meant to take place in the DCEU. Like, this is the new timeline. Like, the movie takes place around the same time as the events of the Black Adam movie, so that the Shazam League doesn't get caught up in what's happening during the Black Adam movie. Like, they explain why they don't rush over to Kahndaq. You also notice there's an Easter egg for the Annabelle doll from the director's horror movie, the Annabelle movies. Like, he comes from an indie horror background. That's how he came to the Shazam franchise. You notice when he's flying through the city talking about how he's been a lousy superhero the past couple of years, they show you different footage of Freddie Freeman complaining about being hurt by something, and he's wearing another big Easter egg reference t-shirt. It's a Batman and Robin t-shirt, but this time it's an actual bat dressed as Batman and an actual Robin bird dressed as Robin. I think the whole idea with the Black Adam cameo scene that they wanted to have during the movie is that he would have been like a post-credit scene, because they had a big Black Adam post-credit scene teaser at the end of the first movie, which they also deleted. It wound up being this big deleted scene.
Guys, there's 6 of us and there's 7 thrones. Who's that for?
Well, whoever it is, I'm gonna love them no matter what, because they're an automatic part of the family.
He was meant to be the person that they were going to quote-unquote love no matter what, because he's part of the family, so to speak. Too bad they're never going to pay that off. I would be so surprised, though, if he does wind up in the movie and they were just lying about all that stuff. I don't think that's the case, though. I think when all the trades were reporting on a supposed Black Adam cameo scene not happening now, I think they were being truthful about that. Like, I think The Rock is basically done with DC for the time being. The big thing with Zachary Levi recently is that he was just spotted with Peter Safran on vacation over the recent holiday. And the reason why that's a little bit weird is because Peter Safran is now James Gunn's partner, is like the co-presidents of DC, and they're basically the ones who decided to reboot everything. The reason why Zachary Levi knows him is because Peter Safran is also the producer of a lot of the DC movies, including the Shazam movies. That's why you see footage of Peter Safran in a lot of the DC trailers, like James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie, the behind-the-scenes footage for the Shazam movies. He's more like the business guy to James Gunn's creative head. James Gunn is mostly focused with the creative side of the DC movies. Peter Safran more focused with the money side of things. So everyone was naturally just assuming it was going to be very awkward if Zachary Levi winds up being recast after he was posting all these things about potentially coming back. Like, he seemed very confident that he would be coming back. They are supposed to do a bunch more promotion for the movie towards the end of this month. Like, the director of the Shazam movies said that they would be releasing another really big trailer in a couple weeks before the end of the month. And part of the reason why you don't see James Gunn already announcing what DC Phase 1 of this new DC Rebirth or DC rebooted movies are going to be is because they're still releasing all the upcoming DC movies they had planned to release this year. And they still want to make a bunch of money on those, even though some of the movies will set up things that they never intend on fully paying off. I think one of the things that happened after James Gunn decided to reboot everything is that they tried to tweak some of the movies so they felt a little more self-contained, so that they did not set up way too much stuff that they weren't going to pay off. Like, originally, as of October last year, there were a bunch of other teasers and post-credit scenes that were setting up their future Crisis on Infinite Earths in the movies that they wanted to do. Then James Gunn comes on, they're like, okay, you know what, let's just re-edit, take a couple of those scenes out so they don't completely spin off into a bunch of different movies that nobody's ever going to see. To be fair, though, James Gunn did say that not 100% of everybody in the DCEU is going to completely be recast. Some of the characters will come back, and that does include some of his Suicide Squad characters, his Peacemaker characters. Like, with all this DC reboot stuff, they're still planning on making Peacemaker Season 2. James Gunn is the person who wrote all the scripts. He's going to be directing a lot of the episodes. He's also in the middle of writing the new Superman reboot movie that they're making as part of DC Phase 1. He said it's like the most important movie they're going to be making as part of his DC Phase 1. You want everybody to love whoever this new Superman is going to be, otherwise it's really hard to build a universe on a movie that people do not like. But like I said, James Gunn making his big announcement, big slate of movies in the next week or two, maybe as soon as next week, so make sure you enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that. Of course, I will do videos for whatever he winds up announcing. The other big news is that The Last of Us Episode 1 is starting on Sunday, and I'll be doing weekly episode videos for it like I do for all the other big series on my channel. It sounds like it's going to be a banger just based on all the reviews. And speaking of Pedro Pascal crossover, like Pedro Pascal into the Pascalverse, the Star Wars Mandalorian Season 3 trailer will also be dropping on Monday, too. So there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff coming in the next couple of days. Everyone click here for my new Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer video with a whole bunch of new footage for Kang and Avengers 5 teasers. And click here for that brand new Flash trailer video for the Flash movie. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.